Well guys, I'm down on the beautiful banks of the Cap River. It's like our own little tropical oasis with all these palm trees behind us. I've had a little hike down here and I couldn't think of a better spot to tell you about this adventure I went on for one of our stories for Stalking Shadows. And it's one of these where it went wrong from the word go. Had bad luck. And we managed to push through it, and it ended up being a exceptional safari with a guy by the name of Beau. So I was actually at a family beach house, cottage, where, you know, sitting back having a barbecue, and I got a phone call, and it must have been about 9:30 at night by a company that I'd never hunted for before. My uncle had gone up there, he was busy hunting, and another buddy of mine, he was hunting up there, and they were short of a professional hunter. So what happened was, my buddy who was there said to the outfitter, I know of a PH who's looking for work, give him a call. So they phoned me at 9:30 at night. The camp for this specific place was, I was probably an hour away from where all my kit was, just with my pickup. Then from there, it was 4 hours from there to where camp was. So I agreed to take the hunt, being a young guard, needing to do the work. Hopped in my truck. I said to the outfitter, there's no ways I can get a hold of my tracker. Do they have a tracker for me? They said, no, there'll be a guy ready for me when I get there. And off I went. It was 10 o'clock at night. I got home at about 11:30. I threw a few things in my truck, grabbed my rifles, what I could, loaded my dogs up, and got to bed, I think, around 12:30 after packing all my stuff. Woke up at 2 a.m. because I had to be at camp by 6 in the morning to start hunting. So I woke up at 1:30 but left by 2 a.m. So 2 a.m. I was on the road heading inland to where the camp was, and everything was going smoothly, guys. Like, was great. I was running on time, and about 40 kilometers outside Queenstown, the property was other side Queenstown, my truck started making a terrible noise. The transmission had packed up. So with that, I was on the phone, couldn't get all of the outfitter, managed to get all of my uncle who was hunting there. They were all having coffee with the clients, and I said to my uncle, let the outfitter know my truck's broken down, I can't do the hunt. I'm going to try and limp it into the closest town, see if I can't get it diagnosed and fixed, but I've lost all the gears. I have only fourth gear available to me. So I limped it into Queenstown. My uncle spoke to the outfitter. The outfitter said, no, I must carry on coming if I can. They'll give me a pickup when I get there. So got to Queenstown. The garages were still closed. I couldn't hang around. So we limped the truck all the way to the reserve. And with that, I got there. Never hunted the property. All the other professional hunters are gone. Here's a client sitting outside the lodge waiting for me. Elderly gentleman called Beau, got introduced. Tried to find the keys for the pickup that they'd left for me. Old red Toyota Land Cruiser, one of the first. Hopped into this thing, No trackers, no where I'm going. Got to, pull a rabbit out of the hat, so be it. Climb in the truck, turn the key, the damn thing doesn't start. I'm like, what the hell? Managed to find some guys there. We started this truck. So I had to make sure that I parked this truck on a hill everywhere where we stopped. Got pointed in the direction to find a tracker. Headed down there. Shouted out to some guys. Some guys came running over, hopped in the truck. Luckily, the trackers knew the property, and off we went. And my client was after a variety of species. He didn't really have like a package, so off we went. And this property had areas that you hunted in. It's one of these places that I personally wouldn't go hunt at, but being a guide, I've got there. They've got section off areas for different exotics and so on and so forth. So it was a job. I was there. I'm there to make my client happy. So off we go and we get stuck into it. And with that, we start in the area and he was after a zebra. And this area, you could hunt zebra, white blesbuck. I'm trying to think what else was in there. There was eland in there. There was kudu in there. But we specifically went after the Birchall zebra that were in this specific area. And we got onto a lookout point and we spotted the zebra feeding in amongst some thorn trees. And from there, I did a little stalk with my client, Beau. I hadn't even taken him to the shooting range. I didn't know how he shot. I didn't know. I literally arrived, hopped in the truck, dumped my bags and started hunting. And I'd been up from 1:30 in the morning. So we went after the zebra, got guys set up, showed him that there's a perfect little triangle on the shoulder. And Beau had a perfect shot, 200-yard shot with his blazer. He had a blazer with him. And down went his zebra. So the pressure was off. We got our first animal out of the way. Got it loaded up with the tracker and proceeded to head our way back to the lodge to drop off, where we met up with the rest of the guards, my friends and my cousin, my uncle who was there, and got chatting to the guys. Quickly found out the area because they'd hunted there previously and asked them which were the better areas, and they helped me out a little bit. But the tracker on the back was still the best guy to ask, because what you guys don't know is there's a lot of professional hunter competition out there. So the guys don't tend to tell you where to go to help you out, because they want to book their next hunt there and know there's a bushbuck they saw hiding in that corner and there's an animal hiding in that corner. And I'm very much different in that sense. I hunt for the name on my shirt and I give everyone the information, and super friendly, super helpful. So luckily the tracker and I hit it off on the back, and he knew exactly where to take me to look for these animals. So we headed out that afternoon, midday, for a hunt, and we went after, I'm not mistaken, went after a springbuck. But the other guys had picked a certain area, so I got the end of it, went right to the back of the property. So I got to explore a little bit. But we had a bit of a crazy time getting there in this old Toyota pickup, Hilux. It wasn't a Land Cruiser, old red Hilux. What they didn't tell me with this thing is the handbrake doesn't work, the four-wheel drive doesn't work, the brakes don't work. I found that out in the first downhill that we hit, and we got to the bottom unscathed. Luckily, I had it in low range, and we got to the bottom, and the tracker says to me, goes, "Boss, I don't think this truck can go up this hill, but we must try." So I said to him, "No, well, we'll give it a crack, low range, second gear, and a little bit of right boot," and we got out to the top. And we got to the back of the property in this beautiful big mountain with these open grass plains running down into these little valleys, but wide open spaces, loads of black wildebeest, blue wildebeest. We've been seeing gemsbuck. We were just seeing a bit of everything, and it was turning out into a beautiful day. And we spotted a group of springbuck. We made a stalk, And guys, if you're a professional hunter and you've never made a mistake in your life, you're a liar. I will tell you straight to your face. And this was the first time where I made an honest botch up on a springbuck ram. You'll see it in the photograph. It was definitely no trophy. And I called it, got the guy to shoot it. It was 280 yards away. Beau, being the crack shot he was, smoked it, and down went his springbuck. Got there, and immediately my body went cold when you walk up onto it and it's got this massive ground shrinkage. And you know you have literally just stuffed up. So I looked at Beau. I said, Beau, I'm extremely sorry. This isn't the springbuck that I wanted you to hunt. I will pay for this trophy. Don't worry, we'll get you to shoot another one. And Beau looked at me and he said, Wayne, don't worry about it. I'll pay for this trophy. I'm quite happy with it. I said, if you are not happy with it, I will take it on the chin. I'll tell the outfitter and I will pay for this springbuck and you can hunt another one. I said, no, Wayne, don't stress. And off we went. So that was my first day running on fumes. Shot a beautiful zebra stallion in the morning and made an absolute botch up in the afternoon, shooting the crappiest springbuck ram trophy I ever have in my entire hunting career. Happened that day. So we head back to the lodge. Spirits are high, 2 animals down. The rest of the group are having a great hunt. He's enjoying himself. I'm enjoying his company, and we are actually having a great start to the safari. So the next morning, everyone's up and about again, and we're trying to get this damn red truck to start. Can't get it to start. We eventually start it. It's all a big joke. Wayne's got the crappiest truck there. The damn thing won't start. And it's all laughs, but off we go. And we head out because now he's after a white springbuck. And he's decided he wants to shoot a black springbuck and a copper springbuck. So we're after the slam. So we head into the area where they've got the copper springbuck, because the copper springbuck and the white springbuck don't run in the same area, so they don't mix. But your black springbuck and your normal common springbuck can run together because the dominant ram will breed the dominant color. So that's quite cool. So we head out, get into this area. The tracker puts me in the perfect spot again. We get an awesome lookout point and we spot a beautiful herd of copper springbuck. And we pick out the ram we want. I make sure this time, because it needs to be a beautiful specimen. And we head down there. We do our stalk. Everything's done, walk and stalk, guys. I'm not one of the guys that shoots from the back of a truck. And they bust us. So we give up on that group, and then we head on to the next group. And we find another place where we get a better advantage point, and we make our stalk on this beautiful copper ram. And it will be my first copper ram that I hunt with a client. So it was a special one for me. And there were a lot of firsts that happened in this trip with animals and species that Beau was looking for. Were a lot of my firsts as a guide. So we get set up on the sticks. Springbuck are a small animal, guys. If you chatted to a lot of people, you shoot them at quite far distances. They're a bit like your guys' antelope in North America, your speedbuck there. You gotta shoot 250 plus, 280, 300, 350. And we managed to get to about 280, and I got set up with him. And Beau was just doing such great shots. And he lined this copper up, boom, and it fell down. And we got this beautiful, super excited, got this beautiful copper ram. We loaded him up. And on our way back, Beau said, hey, I'm actually quite keen on shooting a white blessbuck. So we headed into the area where we'd shot the zebra the day before, because I'd spotted some beautiful white rams there. And we went in there and we did another awesome little stalk, and we found them and set him up. And then Beau just put the hammer down on this white blessbuck. A beautiful specimen, really, really awesome specimen. So took some great photos of that, loaded that up, and it was time for lunch, brunch, whatever you want to call it. You had like snacks for breakfast, and then you headed back around between 11 and 12 for a nice feast at the lodge. And the guys have a bit of a rest, a siesta, and then we start up in the afternoon again. So we headed back there, and he decided after lunch that he would be keen to hunt a red lechwe, another first for me. So we went into the next area where the red lechwe are in this area where there's a river that runs through, a lot of thorn trees, a couple of little hilltops, and we got glassing, and they loved coming out late afternoon into these big grass flats. And being my first, you only learn what they teach you at, PH school. You got to know what your minimum requirements are and so on and so forth for rolling award and stuff like that. But you must remember, guys, rolling award and SEI is creme de la creme. You don't often get to shoot those types of trophies. You got a minimum standard you got to work by. So I went before we headed out, and I chatted to one of the older PHs there. I went and had a look at what he had shot that morning with his client. And that's a great tip for the young guys coming into this. Go and see what the other professional hunters are shooting as trophies and set a standard for yourself. So I'm a firm believer is if I don't want to hang it on my wall, I'm not going to let you hang it on your wall. That's the motto I live by. But I've never shot a red lechwe for myself, so I had nothing to go off of to weigh up what's a great trophy and what's not. So I went to go look at what the other professional hunters have been hunting. And I got a good idea, and we went out, and I found this beautiful wide ram, bull, I should say, and he had black legs. What a beautiful red lechwe. And I got Beau set up, and he didn't make any mistakes this whole trip, guys. It was one of the easiest hunts I've done in my hunting career, where this man must have done his homework back home and done all his practicing and shot off his shooting sticks, and he made the perfect shots. One shot kills for everything. And he shot this beautiful red lechwe. We took some photographs. It was a beautiful blue sky in the background, white clouds. It was just one of those magical moments for my career and getting a client to shoot a beautiful red lechwe. So we were done for the day. We'd shot 3 animals that day and headed back early so the tracker could really get stuck into his job and do all the hard work of the skinning, the salting, and getting the carcasses into the freezers. So that was done. We relaxed. We had some great laughs around the fire because the next day we were going to be after bontebok and after a white springbuck and a black springbuck. So we went back out that day where the red lechwe were. White springbuck were there. And again, guys, this farm was one of those where there were hundreds to choose from. So you could afford to take the time to pick the best and find some of the better quality animals in these areas. And I managed to find a beautiful bachelor group of white springbuck feeding to the side, so we didn't have too many eyes looking on us. Made an awesome stalk, and Beau doing what he was doing best, one shot, and he was done and dusted. And then we took some photos, loaded him up, and in the same area we went after our bontebok. So for those of you who don't know, a bontebok and a blesbuck are very, very similar. But your bontebok is more of your high-end animal. He's got a much more dark red coat, beautiful white markings on his butt, running down his legs. We always teased that said he's got a pair of white pants on. And the other big difference is on the horns, guys. A bontebok will have a jet black horn with rings all the way around his horn, all the way up, where a blesbuck is more of an ivory horn, and you'll see he's got white rings on it. That is one of the telltale signs of what a blesbuck is and what a bontebok is. So we headed out. We found a really nice bontebok, got him all set up, and Bontebok again, guys, also their horns are shorter than what your blessbuck horns grow to. So your trophy size is smaller. So we got set up and we shot a beautiful Bontebok and took some photos of that. Another first for me. So I was having a great trip, even though my truck's broken down. I've forgotten about that. The most important thing is the client, and we are cracking on and getting stuck in. So that morning we had the white springbuck and the Bontebok in the bag. So we were doing 2-3 animals a day, which was really, really, really cool. And we headed back to the lodge, rested up a bit, and then that afternoon we headed out back to where I made the mistake on the springbuck. And we started up there and saw a group. These guys on the back of this property were extremely tough to hunt. They were wild. The guys must have put a lot of pressure on them, but we managed to get in on a really nice black springbuck ram and no issues again. Beau was just on fire. Down went his black springbuck. So another 3-day animal. Great trip as we were going along. And I won't forget, we head back. We have a great rest. So now the lodge, another group of guys came in, and where the PHs were sleeping, we had to pack our bags up and move out because a family group had come in. So they took on a whole family unit where the professional hunters were staying. So myself and my buddy were moved into next to the rooms where our clients were staying. So that evening we were there. Everyone had a good feed, good evening off, and we are going to wake up nice and early the next morning to get cracking on this hunt, because the whole group is going to go and cull springbuck for the landowner on another property. So it's a great, it's just a great hunting day. But I was lying in bed just before my alarm was about to go, and next minute we heard the almighty gunshot go off. Boom. But you could hear the gunshot had gone off inside the room. And I sat bolt upright and I looked at my buddy and I was like, did someone just off himself? And we both jumped out of bed and we ran outside. With that, my client Beau walks out the room and he's dusting the top of his head off. And I'm like looking at him, and the room next door were 2 younger clients, part of the group. And the one guy was lying on the floor, and my heart sank. And we rushed over to him to see what had just happened. And luckily no one was injured. But what the guy was doing, he'd forgot to unload his rifle the day before. And he'd gone into the room, and this morning when he picked up his rifle to check it with our blazer action, I don't know if the blazers don't like the South African dust or SA dust, but when he pushed the button forward to release the safety, the rifle went off and it shot through the wall towards my client's room and went up into the thatch. And when he was standing in front of his mirror and his buddies are on that side firing the shot off, all the thatch above his head came down onto him. So we were extremely lucky that no one got injured that day. And it's a lesson to be learned, guys. When you pack your weapons away, make sure they are safe. The thing is, an unloaded rifle kills more people than a loaded one. Remember that. Don't make the mistake of going, it's unloaded. Check it. If anyone hands you a weapon, check it. Safety. So with all of this excitement happening in the morning, we got all loaded up, all the trucks, all the trackers, and off we went to this property where we were going to do a massive cull that day. Springbuck, kudu, fallow deer, reedbuck. We were all allowed to shoot, including the professional hunters. So it was game on. Now the competition started between us and the clients, and who could shoot best. And I must say, guys, the professional hunters took the win that day. I think we shot 74 springbuck. There were about 12 kudu that was shot, and a few mountain reedbuck What a cracker of a day. It was a driven hunt. It was really awesome. A few warthogs were shot as well, and the clients thoroughly enjoyed just having more of a relaxed feel on a driven hunt out in the South African bush. So with that, we head back. Had a great evening, and we are on one final day for the hunt, and we had to go out and hunt a nyala. Lucky for me, this property was loaded with nyala, and it wasn't very difficult. We were done before our breakfast. We found an awesome nyala not too far away from camp. We set Beau up, and Beau made those perfect shot, finishing off his safari on 100% strike rate, one-shot kills for his animals. And it was just one of those achievements where everything had gone wrong to start this off. But what happened was we had a great hunt. I had a great tracker, a guy that I'd never met before. We hit it off, two like-minded hunters, and we had an exceptional client who had done his homework before and shot brilliantly, taking the pressure off the rest of us. Even though we had a pickup that didn't have four-wheel drive, a pickup that had no brakes and didn't start in the morning, the client had a laugh and a smile on his face every morning when we had to get going, because all his buddies were giving him gears. But he shot some exceptional animals, and we finished off with a great safari. So guys, if you're enjoying these, stay tuned. We've got more coming up. Till later guys. Cheers.